This story has been recorded at an Addictive Eaters Anonymous meeting in Denmark. You can email us at contact@aeainfo.org.
My name is Trine, and I'm an addictive eater. I was just today thinking back on how it was, and the memory that turned up is from a family gathering where I remember a waitress taking away a cake, saying you need to think about the others. There needs to be enough for everybody. And I felt such a shame and felt very wrong in my way of eating. And I remember birthdays, going to them as a child, where I ate so much that I got sick, and I just couldn't control it. It was so exciting, and oldest food, and I, as long as I can remember, the food has been there as a thing, even as a child, I had long periods where I didn't really eat something. I would live off bananas and not really eat anything, and then I would eat everything, but always this fascination. And I remember going into the kitchen and just putting things together, and then going to my room and eat it. And I don't know why this was such a comfort for me to put something together and then go to my room and be alone and hide and eat. And I felt wonderful. It felt so wonderful. And I grew up, my father had a grocery store, and my father was like, oh, she's not the one who asked for candy. She will never do that. And the women who worked in his store said, no, she just takes. She just come out here and steal. And he wasn't aware of that, but they saw what I did. And I remember the first time I went to a dentist, my teeth were so bad, I had so many things done, and the dentist told me when I was 6 or 7 years that I needed to stop drinking Coca-Cola because it would break down my teeth, and I actually stopped that because I was so fond of just drinking that, and I was really scared of what it did to my teeth and everything. And but what also came to my mind is when playing together with others and we had candy, I always thought that others on purpose would not eat as fast as me, just to make me envy. So they would have some and I would have eaten mine. And I always thought until my fourth step that this was something they did to harm me or shame me. I never thought of others like not really being into eating this amount, not really interested in it. That didn't occur to me. But I really envied that somebody could just leave it, eat a little and then leave it and forget about it. And I remember as a bigger girl that one of my childhood friends, he got a girlfriend, and they were very concerned about her. She had anorexia, and they talked about this, and she was very sick, and I heard all these stories, and then I met her and I saw her, and she was like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. She was so skinny, but to me she was looking so beautiful. And I listened to these stories, and instead of feeling that she was very sick, I really listened to, she was throwing up, and I remember them talking about that, and And I remember that as an option on not gaining weight, that I could throw up. And I started doing that from a young age, when I had filled myself with too much food, or then I started doing that. But the issue was there, and I think in our book it says that the disease is cunning and powerful and confusing, and I find it very confusing that I've been able to do so many things in my life, and been able to read and go to school and behave in a certain matter, but regards to food, it's always been this crazy behavior if I haven't really controlled it. And I could only control it for a certain amount of time. And I really remember as a teenager trying to do all my willpower, controlling my food, and then I discovered exercise, and it was like it was just like magic. Then I could eat and exercise and lose weight, and I remember friends saying, "You need to be careful now," because I got so skinny that they were afraid of me. But for me, it was just wonderful. I just felt really that I got it all under control now. And I remember a friend taking pictures of me and saying, I need just to have this to show you how skinny your arms are and how you look." And I always thought of that as just envy. And I can also see that when I think back, I can relate to what I weighed that year instead of what I did. I always remember my weight. And I was really into weighing myself. Also, people I visit or wherever I came, I just went into the bathroom sometimes to throw up, and often to just go on their weight and see what do I weigh. But totally obsessed with my body image and the way I presented myself. And what I can also see is that I'm this feeling that I hear in the fellowship, this feeling of being very special, and nobody really understands me, and really lonely. Even when I had some friends, but when I did connect with friends, I also was very demanding on them just having me. And some would say, "We can be more, that's fun." And I was like, "No, it's only fun if it's just the two of us." And that gave me a lot of problems. And I've discovered later in recovery that I've always seen myself as left out, and the others didn't want to play. But I would go into a room and say, "This is what I want to play." And if they didn't want to play that game, then they didn't want to play with me. But I never tried their game. I never tried to just go along and see what happens. I was really scared of putting myself out there. And at the same time, I can also see I had no language to saying I was scared at that time. So I would just maybe make up something, a bad excuse, or just act strange, or whatever. But I can see in my teenage years I really got into also slimming pills and laxatives to clean my body, and I got into drinking, and I really discovered that when I drank, and especially when I took sleeping pills, that just the fact that I totally blacked out, when I woke up in the morning, I would have lost some weight, and I was really feeling like this is a solution. I really felt like that was a good idea to do that. But I had many years where I every day would take medication to lose weight, slimming pills, and I would get them from my doctor without a problem. And I remember as older when I got a boyfriend, where he asked me like, "Why are you taking these? You're not fat, or what is it?" But I just needed those pills, and I just needed my wine, and I just needed to eat. I mean, it was really crazy looking back on that way of life. And at the same time also being able to work and study and doing everything. But I really needed this thing for myself. And what happened to me is that I met Alcoholic Anonymous, and I stopped drinking many years ago, and then I started at the same time I was smoking. I was smoking like 40 cigarettes a day. I smoked as much as I could on a day, and I had my eating thing going on, but I started going to meetings and not drinking, and I could see that. Then I started listing all into calendars. So I would run and I would throw up and I would write it down in my calendar. What did I do today? And what do I weigh? And I did that for years. This way of trying to control it, and then I met. I moved to another city, and I met some girls from another food fellowship, and they introduced me to a food fellowship, and I got some simple guidelines on what to do, and I was there for many years, trying to work with the program and trying to do my utmost best. And at the same time, I got some suggestions on what to do. So I tried to stay out away from white flour, tried to stay out away from sugar, but still my mind and my thoughts would be on food and on planning. And I mean, a lot of things happened, wonderful things. I got married, I got a child, and but still the food was such a big part of me, and what happened was that the sponsor who tried to help me for years said, "I don't know what is going on with you. I simply don't understand the food thing, but you are completely gone when it comes to food." And she could just feel me and my appearance disappear, and she said, "It's not comfortable being around you." And I got really angry and really upset, and I simply didn't know what to do or where to turn to, and then I remembered that I met a woman a couple of years before that, and I was just following her on Facebook, and I could just see a change in her. So I remembered her, and I asked her for help. I asked her what to do. I didn't know what to do, and she told me about AEA, and she and we started talking, and I started to hear this very clear message that I'm addicted, and if it's not one, as an addictive person, if it's not one thing I will use, then it's another, and it will swift. So why not stay away from all mind-altering substance? And that really made sense to me, because I could relate to that so clearly, that regards to my life and what I've been doing to myself. And then just starting to work with AEA's Alcoholic Anonymous, reading it together, and discovering that I thought I knew, but I really discovered a completely new book and a completely new program. And I was suggested to do the fourth step, and I struggled with just being honest and just writing it down and just telling about my life. I would rather just sit and watch you. I mean, just telling about my life in an honest manner. And I had actually to do it a couple of times, because when I showed up to do my fourth step and to tell about myself, I was not able to. And then something happened, because actually I was able to do it when I showed up again. But and I was able to talk to about myself. And what I met in AEA is people of a matter of fact. They are very, very helpful, very, very loving, very caring, and they have done. The people I've called, other sober members, are so willing to help, and but I need to do the work, and I need to be clear about myself, and I need to just being honest, and also what this has really shown me is how important it is to know that I'm an addictive eater, and what this is all about, the addiction, and also that the thoughts and the mind are there all the time, but this simple program can really help me, and then the connection that is so powerful that I've never experienced actually before is that the power to the higher power, how helpful that is when I just try it, just give up and try it, and trust that there is a higher power. There are sober members and their experience and their hope and their sharing, and see how that can make a simple. Their simple way of living can change how it has changed my life. This just give also the experience that I actually didn't know anything about food. Just being able to take advice on what time to eat, what to eat, and just letting go of the control of that, and that has been so powerful for me, and also that I'm all the time being told, go out there and be helpful to someone else, and that wasn't at all something I knew how to do, but I can see today it's one of the most important things for me, and I never thought it was possible, the energy to be helpful, not to help people in the way I want them to be helped, but just to see how I can be of help, and just feel the guidance on that. So I'm very grateful to be here at our AEA meeting in Copenhagen, and just looking forward to taking one more day. Thank you.